What is up, homies? Welcome back to another reaction from Heroes Reforged. We're checking out the brand new trailer for Supergirl. Before we get into this reaction, really quickly, if you enjoy the reaction to this trailer, you want to leave a comment letting us know how you feel about the movie, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and check out our Patreon. We've got tons of new shows that we're debuting. We're going to be watching One Piece, Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We're in the middle of Daredevil and Invincible, and we're going to be starting some new stuff soon. The Boys, Mall, Shadow Lord. There's a lot of stuff coming, and we're watching plenty of movies. And speaking of movies, we will be revisiting the 1984 film Supergirl before this comes out.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That'll be a fun watch. I haven't seen that in a minute, so I don't know how it's gonna hold up, but it'll be fun.
I've never seen it. And I feel like it's crazy that I've never seen it, but I do think that it is the best possible time to see it for the first time is to watch that and then watch the new Supergirl as a way to really come full circle. Like,
I did not know that. That's interesting.
First time reaction on that video. I was gonna do it last year. I mean, we'd watched all the Superman films last year, slotted in, and then we were like, no, we'll watch this one. We'll watch Supergirl next year for 2026's Supergirl. I was like, all right, then I'll wait. So
perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to check out this trailer?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, I was just touching base to see when you think you might be coming back.
Oh, she's drinking.
No, I'm just worried that you're not going to find your stride here if you keep going off.
I'm not going to find your stride here.
Find your people.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Clark.
My people are dead.
I have no people.
That's brutal.
Jeez. Good old David Krumholtz. Whoa. Oh, man.
That's great.
Promise wherever you are, buddy.
As it's being shrunk, I'm sure, by Brainiac.
Crypto and I at least had each other. Honestly, I thought we were lucky.
Oh my god.
But luck, almost by definition, runs out.
Don't you dare.
What can I do?
The Brickens carry the antidote on that person. He has 3 days.
Yep.
Oh my god. How can you put this in the trailer?
Great thing to put this in the trailer. Great.
It's Krem of the Yellow Hills. He murdered my innocent family.
Krem's a real piece of shit.
Yeah. Oh, Ruthie.
Do what I say. And don't die. This does not look like this is gonna end well for you guys.
Perfect.
Stop. You're hurting my head.
Okay.
Perfect.
Revenge. It won't take your pain away.
This looks so good.
Oh, yeah.
Your eyes are beautiful when you cry. Lot of
Oh no. Oh yeah.
lot of suffering.
There's no home, buddy.
She gets to do awesome Supergirl stuff.
Yep.
Man.
Aren't you the ditz from that dive bar?
Funny. That's what I've been calling you.
Touche.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Touche.
Touche. I like this trailer. I wouldn't say I liked it more, but I think what I liked about it is the fact that it gives us a little bit more context to the story. And I think also for comic book readers, it shows you a little bit of like how some of it has been slightly reframed to tie things in a little deeper emotionally. And, you know, Crypto was obviously part of the comic book story, and there's some similarities, but I think because people kind of fell in love with Crypto and Superman, it's even like more beneficial for this movie to have him in it because of that
100%.
like emotional weight that it's going to bring. And
that feels like a no-brainer because
Exactly.
one thing I do know about the original, what is it, Helen Slater Supergirl film from the 80s, is that Christopher Reeve did not appear in that movie, even though it was supposed to be set in the same world.
Right.
Though those movies were really pre-franchise films, especially the way we consider a superhero comic book franchise today.
Mhm.
And I've had this conversation with producer Michael Uslan where he did the Batman films, and I was like, back in the day, before the first Michael Keaton Batman film, were there any conversations about having Superman be involved in those movies? And he said, no, executives never saw it that way. They saw one as
Right.
one thing, the other as the other thing, never thinking that these two characters
vision.
or more, no vision, could ever interact or be a part of the same story the way that they had been for decades in DC Comics up to that point. So I'm really happy to see David Corenswet. I hope he shows up in as many things as possible. I was really happy to see Lex Luthor in Peacemaker Season 2. That's what these things should do. And I'm sure they've got plans for Lobo. And I'm sure that we're going to see the continuation of Brainiac was the entity that kidnapped Kandor, the bottle city of Kandor. And Superman and Supergirl and other characters will deal with Brainiac going forward. Because why wouldn't you do that stuff? All of that stuff is lined up, ready to be told in dominoes stories from DC Comics DNA. It's already there. So that is another piece of proof, I think, for James Gunn and company, they understand what to do with these characters in terms of this world building stuff. When it seems like even with the previous iteration of the DC Extended Universe, it never felt like they quite knew exactly what to do with that side of DC. It felt like some people wanted to do some stuff, and then other times it was like, Shazam wants to do Superman. Well, we can't get Henry Cavill. So here's a headless Superman actor, and you're like, oh my gosh. It was very frustrating as a fan because it felt like this stuff should be no-brainer stuff and shouldn't it be a question, and we should just go and to support one another and that kind of thing. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really curious about, you're going to hate me, Adam, I'm really curious about the timeline of this because
no, here we go.
I'm looking at, I just want to bring up a couple things. I'm looking at Crypto. Does he seem smaller and more puppy? I mean, within the story where he gets hurt than the Crypto that we saw in Superman. What I'm saying is, could the majority of this, I mean, look at the opening.
Does this movie take place before Superman, and at the end,
that's what I'm saying.
She goes to the Fortress of Solitude?
That's what I'm saying. It could tie into that. And not only that, I'm going to do a spoiler for the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic book, which I think is a beautiful comic.
So
the way that they use time in that, there's something that happens that is so far in the future of DC that I'm like, are they going to do that? Are they going to do something where we're going to see a little slice of the DC universe thousands of years from now or 1,000 years from now? Are we going to see that? Which would be really crazy, but I think that it also could be an opportunity to set up some, almost like calling the home run before you hit it. Some little tease of this is what the DC universe looks like 1,000 years from now. Maybe there's a legion of superheroes. Maybe there's this, maybe there's that. Maybe Superman and Kara, Supergirl are exactly as they are because they're kind of eternal. I don't know, but it's really fun to play with the future of the DC universe. And I don't know if this new DC universe franchise is quite going to go there. This isn't what I'm talking about is also something that's very small, very limited. It's not a full blown thing, but do they go past the Dark Knight Returns era of an older Bruce Wayne? Do they go past Batman Beyond? Do they do something and call a shot and go, and 1,000 years from now, here's the Legion of Superheroes. And now we're back to the present. That's interesting to think about as well. So
yeah, I guess the only thing that kind of contradicts the idea of this movie being beforehand is Crypto is in the movie and he's also in Superman. So after he gets shot by Krem, does Kara send him to Earth and he's at the fortress recovering, and then he becomes a part of the Superman story, and that's why Clark is babysitting him or dog sitting him, and then Kara plays out the events of this movie play out, and then at the end she goes back to Earth, and then that's where the final credit or that final scene with both of them kind of links back up, and that's how Crypto heals. But we don't necessarily get that context in the Superman movie. We just assume I'm dog sitting for my cousin, and that's just what it is. We don't get that little nugget of he's actually been here healing for X amount of time while Kara's been gone,
years or something. Right. I'm only saying that too because some of the shots of Crypto, and these could all be the flashback shots of when she
a
left
younger puppy.
gone. Right. He looks smaller. And so I'm gonna pay. I'm having it loop as we're speaking here with the volume lowered, but I'm gonna go and really pay attention to like the size of Crypto to see exactly how big or small he is. But yeah, I mean this not to overcomplicate stuff, but it could do exactly what you said, Adam. It could like try to do some timeline stuff and then line everything up and interlock it really seamlessly because this was being developed at the same time as Superman. And I don't think something like this is going to go and tease and dovetail into Clayface, for example, which is also coming out this year. I don't think that's going to happen. There may be something in Supergirl that has to do with Peacemaker season 2. Because again, it was all being worked on at the same time. So like that's what's exciting at that like nerdy lore level of what are we going to learn about everything else from this movie? Because and I'm really thinking about it so much because I'm like not even worried about this individual Supergirl movie on its own. I'm like, the story, don't worry about that shit. They got that shit. The story's going to be
You want to know
great.
the story? Go read the sacred text. It's mostly right there.
Basically. And I've read it and I was moved by it and I feel hopeful and assured that the creators behind this film were also inspired by the same things I was inspired by. And that's going to find its way in there. So I'm almost now being like, I'm pretending as though I've already seen Supergirl, cried, thought it was great. Now I'm like, well, what's next for the DCU? I'm like, where are we going with this? What's next? But all of this to say, I think I'm very happy that they showed Crypto being hurt in this because if that doesn't put butts in seats, if that doesn't make people go, oh shit, I got to go see if this dog pulls through. Like, are they going to kill off the dog in this second movie of the DC universe?
I know.
You're going to have to go see it to find out because it is fantastic. It's one of my favorite uses of Crypto in any DC comics, in any DC medium. So yeah, I'm also, that's my final review of this movie is like, in this trailer, it's that I think that they did some really smart choices in this, and I think it looks great. And I think it's got that James Gunn energy and that James Gunn sauce with the music choice and feeling a little bit Guardians. But I'm also, we've said this before, like more and more impressed with everything else. It's not quite just the James Gunn trailer flavor, because this is going to be the big test to see if this franchise will work. So far, it's been James Gunn 1, 2, 3. This is the fourth thing, and it's not James Gunn directing. And this will be the test of, can other directors come in and do this and have their own tone and have it still fit within what they're trying to do? And so far, I feel like yes. But now I'm looking and I'm like, no, Crypto looks full size. I think we're fine. I think we're in the clear. I think this is going to be mostly post Superman, but
I was thinking about Craig Gillespie as a director. You know, some of the movies he's done, like, you know, I, Tonya, Cruella. I think he did episodes of the Pam and Tommy series for Hulu. You know, he's a very, very, very capable director who I'm sure is going to bring his own flair and flavor. But I do think that I wouldn't say these are guardrails. I would say that this is more of just like the overall creative vision of the DC universe.
Right.
It is a little bit Superman coded, like throughout the whole thing. People want to say it's Guardians coded, like sure, but it's got this very like big epic scale space opera kind of feeling to it, because that's kind of what DC is with a lot of the characters. A lot of the characters are from space, come from space, or deal with space. So when you have this like really intergalactic sort of universe, I like that it leans into using certain like colors and tones and you know, like the way it's shot and the way that they use the cameras or whatever. But in that same regard, Supergirl, if you were to just like strip it from all of its like visual aesthetic, the way the camera is used is very different from Superman. Like Superman used very wide lenses. Everything was really close up. This is more like we're standing back a little bit. We're experiencing it from a little bit of a different perspective. It doesn't feel as like intense in your face like Superman did at times. And I think that's where like the director's visual flair comes in, is like all these movies are going to be shot very differently. And I think even more so than like story elements, like I feel pretty confident with Creature Commandos being so good, Peacemaker being so good, Superman being great, and season 2 of Peacemaker being good, that like I'm not currently that worried story-wise. Like I think story-wise, everything will be executed to a certain level where, for the most part, I'll be like, this works for me. I think it's going to come down to like, what's the visual style? What's the tone of these movies? And do I feel like the castings are really going to work and like really sell me on the characters? I enjoyed House of the Dragon seasons 1 and 2. I liked Millie Alcock in it. I thought she was great.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
I feel very confident that she's going to do a great job playing Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, in this movie. I truthfully, like, I have not been let down by any castings in any of the James Gunn movies or shows that he's made. Like it's all been pretty solid across the board. I could maybe like nitpick certain actors of like, well, maybe I would have preferred a little bit more of like a this type. But in terms of the quality of the performance, they've all been so good. So I'm not really that worried about it. Perfect example. If I were to nitpick something, I don't necessarily love the look of Krem in the movie versus the comic book. But that's a nitpick. Right. That's just like my personal preference. I liked the more human looking guy who kind of seemed like nothing, but was actually really terrifying and deadly and powerful. This version of Krem is like, I'm the bad guy. I'm the big bad guy. I'm like, that's 100%. Fine. Like, it's an adaptation. You have the creative freedom, if you're going to do that, to change it up a little bit. But then, like, I look at Lobo, and I think that looks really cool. And I think Supergirl's costume looks really good. I think Ruthie looks great. So, yeah, I have a lot of confidence in this movie, and I know it's not advertised in the trailer, but I'm going to assume there's going to be a 3D version of this. And I think visually and aesthetically, this also, just like Superman, looks like it'll lend itself to the format really, really well. So yeah, like IMAX 3D day one for me.
Yeah, man. Everything you said, I agree with. And just to emphasize that, I think that this trailer is also smart to do a little bit more. Here's Kara as a character, because that's what's going to differentiate this from Superman. It's not just the setting. It's not just, oh, we're in space. Because like you're saying, well, the Superman film is very sci-fi and very colorful as well. The robots and Lex Luthor stuff and everything is very colorful. You know, he goes to that weird pocket dimension or whatever it is. It's very purple. It's very colorful. And this has a lot of that same style, especially with the bold color choice. But this character, Kara, is so different from Clark in so many ways. That's what Woman of Tomorrow, the comic book, emphasizes. That's what this movie, I think, is being inspired by. And it's really smart for them to bill this character as, look, you liked Superman. We all like characters with superpowers. And Supergirl is an icon in her own right, not just from the Melissa Benoist TV show of many seasons, but even before that. She had a film, and she's been in comic books forever, and she is a DC heroine. This take on Supergirl, I believe, is very true to even her origins and what makes her different than Clark. She comes later. She comes to Earth later. She's already a teenager, and Clark's already 30. And she because of the time dilation and all that BS, she missed a bunch of stuff, and she comes into the picture later, which means she suffered through the loss of Krypton. And it's heartbreaking, and it's really smart for that comic and this movie to hone in on that, really zero in on it and go, how is she different? And then how is she still a hero? Right. And I can't think of a better trauma example.
To the utmost level to watch your planet essentially get vaporized.
And I think that the comic book Woman of Tomorrow comes at a time when we are asking for more in-depth exploration of these very archetypal characters. Yeah. And I think it's very smart to hone in on this thing that we're talking about, which makes Kara different, because it's an even better place to start her, to be able to take her to the hero that we know her as. That in many ways is even more like the criticism of Clark Kent, which I love, is, well, he's not really as heroic as others because Lois Lane isn't bulletproof and he is. And that's an excellent point, and I love that differentiation. And I love when people actually go into that and go, actually Lois is braver, because even Clark would say, yeah, that's true. Like, I'm fine. I'm good. Yeah. When she runs into a building on fire, or she runs into a hail of bullets, like, she doesn't know if she's going to survive. She's there to get the truth, the story, everything. To have Clark be as good of a guy as he is, there's also some great criticism of, well, but he had great parents. You know, Jonathan and Martha are good people. So is it really that, like, admirable that he ended up such a good guy? I like that argument. I like having that debate versus Bruce Wayne taking the loss of his parents. I mean, he was also raised by Papa Alfred. Let's not discount Alfred here. Right. But his circumstances, for him to come through that tragedy and be the hero that he is, that's why we love Batman. For Superman to come through his tragedy of losing his immigrant home and coming to the Earth and making it his home and being as brave and strong as he is, but all in the pursuit of good, that's why we love Superman. And for Kara, for her to start where she starts and still end up being this brave, selfless, compassionate hero, maybe she's got a little bit more edge than Clark, which is fine. Like, we love that. Yeah. I think that it's a comic book story that in a lot of ways we needed to be able to kind of fully invest in Supergirl as a concept, as a character, as an idea, and more than like, you know, earned her place. And no, absolutely, this is what makes her different and a fantastic addition to the DC universe. And I'm just confident that this movie is going to nail all of that stuff. So
yeah,
Yeah, I'm really excited for audiences to experience this story. And for me, we don't know how the movie's going to be different. I'm just going off of me having read the comic book, but I'm excited for audiences to even get a taste of that because it floors you. It's a wonderful story. And I'm so excited too to see people who might be cynical about this coming so close off of the heels of Superman. Really? We're doing this again? Really? I can't wait for you to see this story. And for all of the tourists that are like, that's not Supergirl, they're just making her edgy for edgy's sake. You're a tourist. You don't read comic books. It's fine. Just say you don't read comic books. I'm excited for those people who think they have an understanding of Supergirl to come in and go, oh, this is Supergirl. This is a great take. I had no idea. Now she's one of my favorite heroes. You know, same as Thunderbolts and how surprising that was.
Right? Like if you love the 84 film and you love the television show, you can also love this movie. It's just different layers of the same character. And that's what I think is so important when you constantly try to not necessarily reinvent, but to bring them back after they've been dormant or they've been gone for like a decade or 2 decades or 3 or 4 or 5, 6, or they've never had an adaptation before. How can you take a unique story that's been told from the comics or remixed of multiple versions of different stories and do it in a way that is really going to leave audiences walking out of that theater going, oh, I didn't realize that this was who Supergirl could be. I didn't realize that this is a version of Supergirl that exists. And again, it all just comes back to, you know, how it's going to tie into the greater universe. And then again, full confidence. I think that less so Clayface, but more so Man of Tomorrow. I think there will be some seeds sprinkled in that will lead into that movie when it comes out. I think next year, summer 2027. So
remind me, Adam, because I forgot, was Lanterns originally supposed to come out before this? Are they going to do? Yeah. So they changed it. Like, are we going to see anything from this teeing up anything from Lanterns? And we might. And I'm not trying to feed into the internet consensus on Lanterns and being like, oh, there was no color. Where's the green? Where's the color? This is kind of giving you what you want from the space side of the DC universe. Lanterns is trying to bill itself to people that otherwise wouldn't care about Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. They wouldn't care about Green Lantern.
I don't want to go watch Space Cops the show.
So it's True Detective. So get the people, get your dad who likes shows like True Detective and Landman to watch Lanterns and be like, actually, John and Hal are my favorite. And then you take them, you know, oh, okay, well, you missed Supergirl in theaters. Check it out. It's on HBO Max or whatever. Like, that's the point of that show. But I'm also sure that show is going to do colorful shit at some point in it. We just saw a teaser trailer. That's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to get the Billy Bob Thornton fans to watch a Green Lantern show, and then we'll go from there. So
absolutely.
And don't hit me in the comments about, well, Damon Lindelof said Green was stupid. Watch that clip. He's joking. He's making fun of the fact that a studio would make that note. It's silly. It's fine. We'll listen to what Grant Morrison said. Grant has their opinion. That's totally fine. But I am 100% confident that Damon Lindelof and team love Green Lantern. That's a whole separate conversation. You're fine. Don't stress about it. These guys know what they're doing.
Go watch Watchmen if you think he doesn't like comic books. I don't know what to tell you.
Exactly. Go watch the first episode of Lost where a character is reading a Green Lantern comic book on the beach. Like, miss me with that, dude. Come on. Come on, dude.
Come on. Which is the kitty see. But like Hector was saying, definitely check out the comic book Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. It's really great and it has beautiful artwork in it. And I think if anything, you know, you could read it after, you could read it before, it's up to you. But I think if anything, if you choose to read it before, it's going to give you some really great context as to like what this movie is pulling from. And the movie's going to have surprises because it features characters that are not in the comic book. So yeah, I think it's going to be great all around. But let us know how you're feeling about this trailer or Supergirl, how you're feeling about the movie overall, what you're looking forward to seeing, and do you have any theories as to how this movie could connect to future installments of the DC universe? Let us know. Check out everything else we're watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.